Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I am good. I forgot to ask you, where are you going when you leave there today? Back home?
Oh, back to Texas.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's cooling off, so I'm ready because it's kind of like fall. You know, you're at a football game and all of a sudden the breeze. I'm not changing clothes in front of everybody. I'm just kind of cold here. But so I'm excited because it's going to be cooler weather. It's going to be fall season.
I know. I love it. I know. This is my September, October are usually like my favorite months out of the year. I love it so much. I walked this morning early and I had a sweatshirt on. I mean, it was cool, but I loved it. It was so good. Okay, today we are going to do a quick episode on a Zoom that I recently was on with our with my John Maxwell High Capacity Leadership Group. We had a guest on, Brad Lomenick, and I feel like you probably at some point have met him. He's kind of been in John's world for a while, and he shared with us what he called the 9 trends today for entrepreneurs, and they were great. And they're some of them you're kind of like, duh, but just the way that he re-brought them up. So I thought I'd go through and share these 9 and then we can kind of talk about them or talk through. Okay. Number 1 is trust is currency. And he said, we talk about that. We've talked about that many, many episodes, but he said people are starving for real. They want authenticity, vulnerability. They want, to know that you're human. And especially in a world where AI is growing rapidly, which is awesome. But he said, trust is currency. If people do not trust you, then you'll never be able to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish with them. And so
and I think that Marcus Sheridan that we just heard.
Yeah.
I guess I got on his newsletter because I was just reading another piece of it, but That's exactly what he said.
Yep.
He said he uses nothing but honesty and transparency, even if it means he highlights a competitor. And I can so see that people would appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. He said, as an entrepreneur, you should be finding ways every day to be more real. Because if they don't feel like you're real, then or authentic or vulnerable, then they're on to the next. So number 1, trust is currency. He said that's like probably the biggest that he is seeing right now among many entrepreneurs. Number 2 is what he called RQ and SQ, which is relational intelligence and social intelligence. He said so many people today do not have the ability to read a room. And because of that, they're losing. He said that we have to get better at building relational intelligence and social intelligence, because he said you could have a ton of talent, but if you don't relationally connect with people in a real, authentic, trusting way, then you will not be a 1%er. He said that you have to be able to relationally and socially connect with people. And he said the best way to do that is which we've heard this, but just a great reminder, is to stay in curiosity. And to share more. Like he said, don't let your ego get in the way where you aren't sharing things. And Linda, I'm going to humbly say this about you and I both, but I feel like one of the number 1 feedbacks that you and I get is that we're real. And I don't know how or why compared to some people that just aren't, you just kind of get that vibe. But I think if you're not one of those people naturally, it is something that you need to work on, because you can see the 1%ers rising and rising and rising. And when you meet with them, like Rory, for instance, after we met with him, I was like, he's just so real. I mean, he's just so authentic, and he shares everything, and he has great relational intelligence. And so he, Brad said, like, as they're growing and seeing people rise, and they work with so many people in John's world, that the ones who have the RQ and the SQ, I mean, they're rising faster.
When I think sometimes when you can't see it in yourself, you can see it by watching other people. So I've said several times, one of the things I love most about Mel Robbins is, number 1, she'll share her vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
She'll share, struggles that she's been through. She don't care if her hair is brushed that much. I mean, honestly, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, polished and looking perfect.
Yep.
Is honestly, it's just, I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation because I looked back at pictures from the beach. I look like a beach bum. I'm not going to lie. I have no idea if Zoe has these because Jean kept sending these pictures straight to Zoe. I'm like, wait a minute, should I look at these first? But now I'm feeling pretty confident that even if I look like a beach bum, people are going to appreciate that.
They honestly do.
Because I'm like, I don't want to dress up at the beach.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're at the beach.
I want to go outside and get sun on my face, and I don't want makeup on it to do that. My hair's up in a ponytail most of the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but when I look about the people that I admire and that I resonate the most with, that's why.
Yeah.
It's because they're not trying to be perfect in front of the camera. They're just being who they are. And honestly, I don't know that people are sitting around going, you know what? Her hair is sticking up right over there. I think she needs to brush it. I think they're saying, oh, I resonate with what she's saying. And that's so me. And she's speaking right at me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. So tip for RQ and SQ, like just let your hair be wild on your next week.
Thank you. Thank you. So many more videos and pictures will go out now. So many more.
Oh, it is so true. Okay. Number 3 is content is a commodity, which is why I've been so glad that Zoe's been up in your game. He says information is still important, but transformation is what people are craving. And the way to transformation is experiences. So he said, like, creating content, building memory moments, sharing that content. He said people want a customized experience, which if you think about it is really why we get sucked into reality TV, because we want to experience what they're experiencing. We want to see, what they're doing and all those things. So he said it's not like if you do it the right way and not in vain, content is a commodity. And even think like the example of, my nephews are obsessed. I'm sure your grandkids are too, but Mr. Beast. I mean, his entire empire is on content being a commodity, and people want to watch what he's doing and, all the crazy crap that he does. But it's an experience, and people are experiencing something through his experiences. So he said, we need to remember that content is a commodity, and you have to figure out how that sorts into you and what you do in your life. Number 4
I would assume that means, let me back up because I want some clarity around this. Maybe somebody else does too.
Okay.
So I guess what he's saying is, what do you think he's saying?
So like he's saying, okay, when he said information is still important, people still want to know like day-to-day, information about things. But but he said what they're craving is transformation. And the way you get people, just like we say, you can't make any buyer buy, any seller sell, any agent move to KW, whatever. You have to help them self-discover. And they do that through question, stories, and experiences. So he's saying information is still important, but they're craving transformation, and they're going to be more transformed through experiences that they're watching you do, or like seeing you create, or memories you're making. So like Linda, if they're seeing you, experience flying back home on your PJ, like that to them, they're like, I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Except for that one girl.
Except for that one girl. Okay, scratch her. But everybody else that's listening, they're creating, and you're creating an experience for them to create an experience and a memory moment through your content, because they want to be transformed. So in a better way, if you were on your plane, but you were doing an interview and talking about, what you learned this week or whatever, like Dan Martell, like that's what he's been doing. So like knowing that content is a commodity, because they still want information, but they really want to be transformed, and they're only going to be transformed through like the experiences of things.
I get this so well. Okay.
Because that's honestly, the new way, that's it.
That's what I've been thinking about lately, because we're redoing a house, and I'm like, okay, here's an opportunity for us through video to take people through what we actually do. And then ultimately with experiences, I want people to come join us when we're at the RV park, or come join us when we're doing one of the Airbnbs, because I think that's how I learn.
Yes,
I think if we put ourselves and say, what would I learn best from? Because Otherwise, we're all just watching a bunch of YouTube that doesn't teach us and doesn't change anything or transform anything.
Yep, you're exactly right. I mean, I have a girl that I met this year at a retreat who has like, I don't know, 600, 700,000 followers. She's a huge influencer. And she started and grew her account only because they were renovating her house. And she just started posting videos of them doing home renovations. And they just hit. I mean, people wanted the experience of her renovating her home.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. But that's what he means by content is a commodity. So taking your everyday, and Rory said this, like taking your everyday life that might not be someone else's everyday life, but giving them a sneak peek into that as an experience, like that's what that's what they want.
Yeah, that's great. Great stuff.
Okay, number 4 is these were so good. That's why I was like, we got to share these. Number 4, he said, is a free agency mindset. Free agency mindset. So what he said by this is everyone in every age, in every career is looking. Like people are not locked down like they used to be. Everyone is looking. Everybody, all entrepreneurs have a free agency mindset. So he said, double down on your people and help them find purpose and calling and assignments. Like what is their assignment? He said, you want to train and find self-motivated and self-disciplined people. But when you really have those people, double down on them and help them find the things that are important to them, because everybody has a free agency mindset today. And that's true. Loyalty is down across the board in all industries. But I was like, man, that's just so good. And so he said, just always remember, like everybody's looking.
That's so true. And if they don't feel like and I think a lot of times when they don't have someone helping them get to where they want to get, they're just jumping to the next shiny object. And in the end, it's not the best for them and definitely not the best for you.
That's
but because we're not connected to what they really want or where they're trying to get, that's when you wake up with a suddenly of a person I wasn't prepared to lose. I just lost.
Yep. That's exactly what he said. Okay. And that kind of goes with number 5, which is, he said number 5 trend he's seeing is in big 1%ers is raising your own talent. Find them young, fresh, and raise them up within. And then he said that we should be thinking like, how do I build an internship where people want to be on a wait list to work, to come and start with me or come and start with our business? Because he said where people do have that free agency mindset right now and everything is like very competitive and not as loyal, he said he's seeing those 1%ers finding people young and fresh and raising them up within. And I mean, we've talked about that before. It makes a lot of sense, but he said that that's trending today more than what he's seen over the last 20 years.
That's awesome. I love it.
Okay. Number 6 is a trend is create access. And so what he said, and this one I thought was fascinating. He said bigger organizations are actually at a disadvantage right now because the more accessible that you are as a leader, the better success you're going to have, because people want access to, and we experience this, we pay more money because we want access to John or access to whatever. And so he said, we need to be thinking in our minds, how can we, one, create access to us that isn't like a time-sucking calendar where you lose your quality of life, or for the right people. But then he said, also remember, the best leaders are usually more accessible than you think. And it kind of reminds me of Gary. Like every time I send Gary an email, every time you send Gary an email, we get a response.
Yeah.
And I remember one time when I asked Tony DeCello, this was when he was like in the thick of it with coaching and stuff, I think I asked him to be on our podcast or do something. And I just thought for sure, that he'd be like, I'm booked out 4 months. And he said, honestly, like people just don't ask me that. Like, I think we don't realize sometimes, we think like everybody's asking them. So, there's no way we can have access to them. But he said the best leaders are more accessible than you think because they have created a structured, systematic way for people to have access to them.
Well, and if you really think about it, if your ultimate goal is to be a leader that has space and room and margin, those should be the leaders you're seeking out, not ones who are so strapped time-wise that they don't have 10 seconds or 30 seconds to even go to the bathroom, Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. And I've said to Gary before, Gary said, yeah, people really think I'm super busy. And he said, you know what? I just let them believe that.
Yeah. Yes. It's so true. It's so true. And obviously that goes back to John Maxwell teaching us, like, not everybody should have access to you. That's been a huge lesson for me over the last 2 years. And it pisses some people off and it makes some people mad. But the reality is that, like even for me in the offices, if you want to have anytime, all the time access, then you need to figure out a way to get in the top 20%. Because I don't have time to, it's like, so you have to figure out how to create better access, especially if you are a bigger organization, he said.
Yeah.
Number 7 is curation is in. And this one, I kind of understand this, but he didn't go super deep. He said basically we should be filters of information and curate people locally if you have influence. So curation meaning like coming up with locally or where you want to have influence. How can you curate a group locally that can, grow in influence and territory? How can you curate people locally and businesses? This is great for real estate agents because you should be figuring out how to be the local expert by curating other local businesses together with you to highlight them. But he just said curation is in. Like we all have to figure out. I need to chat GPT that one a little bit more. But he said we need to be figuring out how to be curators better.
Yep. I agree with that.
And then number 8 is also a great reminder. And this trend, he called it coach compared to boss. He said in today's world, what he's seeing trend is that nobody wants to be supervised anymore. Like everybody wants a mentor and a coach, but they don't want a boss. And he said whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, like it just is what it is now. And so he said you have to figure out how to be a great coach and mentor and not them see you as a boss, because nobody, like post pandemic, for whatever reason, people don't want a boss anymore. They don't want to be supervised. He said now it's more of like parenting your teams, which this one like, but he said all the top companies are putting together 1-year programs on life skills. He said he's seeing it across the board with like, whoever the, big Home Depots and Lowe's and BMW. He said they're putting together 1-year programs together on developing life skills. Like it goes back to thinking like nobody ever told me to eat dirt. Like I'm just trying to think back to some of these things, or like, just certain life skill things that you develop along the way. And you just want to be like, why did nobody ever teach me that? And I'm 42 years old and just figured that out, or like certain things like that. But he said that all of the people that we lead, they want to be coached and mentored and kind of parented no matter what age, but they don't want to be supervised.
Yep. Love that. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And then number 9, and you and I have talked about this and we're seeing this more, but the last trend he's seeing is such a spiritual awakening, like across companies with people who are believers leading, ones who are not. He said this is more for the kingdom entrepreneur. But he said that people are starving for things of faith, even if they don't know what that means or realize it or understand it. And so he said, as a entrepreneur, we should be taking more risks around this because it matters and people are more open to it now than they ever have been before.
Gosh,
and he said it's a
everywhere.
huge trend. Yeah, huge trend.
Well, that back to something I was listening to Mark Pettis, who took
I love Mark Pettis
to Chris Hodges' place. In the sermon I listened to today, he just talked about our calling. Honestly, quit looking for your calling. Your calling is to build the kingdom.
Yeah.
But what then we have to do is we have to find our skills and our gifts and our vehicles to do that. Yes. And it kind of ties back to what I told you my big aha with John in Puerto Rico is to stop separating what I do for a living and my faith. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you look at people like Rory, Chick-fil-A, people like that, John, people like that, Dana, that have really mastered that, their businesses blow up. Totally. It's like God's hand is all over it. I really do think that is our ultimate game, is how do we marry these two for the kingdom? And the calling is the kingdom. What we do and how we get people there is based on our gifts and our strengths and our lessons and our journeys and all of those things. But I really do think that I see that people are hungry for that spiritual awakening, and we have to be bolder in what we do to help people get that.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said out of all the trends, he said he really believes that one at just his core, and that they're seeing it across all companies, all entrepreneurs. it's interesting to see. So just in case anybody missed one, number 1, trust is currency. Number 2, RQ and SQ. Number 3, content is a commodity. Number 4, the free agency mindset. Number 5, raise your own talent. Number 6, create access. Number 7, curation is in. Number 8, coach compared to boss. And number 9, spiritual awakening, the kingdom entrepreneur is what he called that one. But I just thought those were so great. And like some of them we are already experiencing every single day.
Yep. And so much of it is stuff that we've been taught and that are in our models and systems that when you watch some market centers falling apart, they're not doing some of these. And that was part of the model from the very beginning. So I want to go back and make a couple points. Like on number 5, when he talks about raising your own talent and doing internships, when the commodity, when the pool gets small, you have to go upstream. Yeah. And that's why you do internships, because you're getting people before the rest of the world knows that they're available.
Yeah. Right. Emerging. Is that what Gary would call raw or emerging talent?
It would be raw talent, you know, and then I would say on number 6 on create access, you need to be clear with people on how they earn that access. You know, we've always talked about fair, but not equal. People don't mind fair and not equal.
Yeah.
As long as you say, hey, when you're a $50 million producer, you get these access to these things too. Or when you are in my leadership role, you get access to me whenever you need it. So be sure and be clear on the access, how people earn that. Nobody cares if you can show them a path of how to earn it. Nobody cares that they don't get it right now. Yeah. But I know a path that I could get that.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. Well, and that makes me think about even like Gary Keller doing his top 100, you know, whatever. And I used to always get people be like, how do I get into that group? How do I get into that group? And I'm like, once you do X GCI, you know, then you get in the group. Well, people don't love that. But at the same time, you know, the ones that are achievers or like, they're going to strive to do whatever to get in the darn group.
Yep. Yep. So true. I love these, Dana. This is great. Okay. Does this guy have a book? Tell me who he is again.
Brad Lomenick, Lominick, I think. And I don't know if he has, I'll have to look and see if he has a book or not. I'll have to look it up and send, and we can, I'm just trying to look really quick. I don't even know if he just was on, maybe we can have him on he does have a book. Okay. I lied. Hold on. It is called Humble, Hungry, Hustle.
Oh, really?
Yep. And actually, Linda, so he was, just to give you a frame of reference, he was the past leader of Catalyst, that huge event that like Craig Rochelle and Brad was kind of the who that put all of that together with Chad Johnson. And so then when Catalyst stopped, he's moved into author of H3 is what he calls it, Humble, Hungry, Hustle. He also has a podcast, H3 Leadership Podcast. He's one of our mentors in the high capacity leadership. And I just have loved learning from him. Talk about real. He's super real.
Okay, great. We need to make it a goal to get him on the podcast too. So we got 2, John Acuff and now Brad.
Okay, I'm writing it down. I'm writing that down. Get on podcast. Yeah, he's great. Maybe he can deep dive on some of these too when we get him on.
Yep. All right. Great stuff today. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you can pay Dana and I is to pass this podcast along to anyone that you think that would enjoy these conversations, and be sure and give us a great review so that others find the podcast on their own. If you have a challenge, an opportunity, a guest, or a question that you would like brought up on the podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I guess I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.